moving on into today's topic. And this one is, we're calling this permission to be fully you. And to me, I feel like that's going to be adapted and interpreted in different ways by different people, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say, what does that bring up for you if I say to you, are you giving yourself permission to be fully you?
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Hello, dear Deb. Hello,
Hi.
dear listeners. Hi, Deb. Welcome,
Hi.
welcome to another deliciously motivating mindset conversation. How are things with you today, dear Deb?
I'm super excited about today's
I know,
podcast.
me too.
Apart from that, quite great. No problem.
Awesome. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. I think this is going to be really good. And we always say this. It's a goodie.
So it's a goodie.
It's a real goodie. This one on scale of goodie, this is like really close to the top. Wouldn't you say?
This is right. Yep. About ready to smash those glass ceilings. This is right up there. This is 80% up there.
Yep. So, but talking about scales, let's do our little check-in, and we'd love for you to do this too, dear listeners. What we do is we check in on an emotional scale, emotional, mental, stress level scale of 0 to 10. And 10 is feeling like, oh my God, I don't know what I can do. And I'm feeling so stuck and overwhelmed and stressed. And 0 is, I am at one with the world, with the universe, totally zen. And we all shift up and down throughout our day. We can go up and down through that scale. The key piece here is it's a tool for awareness, just to be aware of where are you and what do you need.
Not to judge.
Not to judge, absolutely. Super important not to judge. It's just to be with that. So that being said, where would you put yourself, Deb?
I forget about that we do this. I'm sure, not like I do it every single podcast. Every single podcast I forget. I would have actually said I was a 0.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually going to say I'm a 2 because my daughter just sent me a text message that threw me into a little bit of a spin. So I'm conscious she's in the back of my mind. So I'm going to be realistic and not say I'm a 1. I'm going to say I'm a 2 because it is playing into my mind a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say a 2.
Okay. And so, as I look at this topic that we're going to talk about today, I would say 0, but I'm actually going to put myself at a 1 just because I was sharing with Deb before we hit record here. I'm kind of tired today, in a really self-satisfied, happy tired because I've had a pretty intensive schedule this past weekend. But so somewhere in between a 1 and a 0 is where I'm at. And so what we'd love for our listeners to do is to just take a wee note. Where are you on the scale of 0 to 10? And then we're going to check back in with you at the end to see if that shifted. And we check in with ourselves too to see what's shifted for us too. So moving on into today's topic. And this one is, we're calling this permission to be fully you. And, to me, I feel like that's going to be adapted and interpreted in different ways by different people, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say, what does that bring up for you if I say to you, are you giving yourself permission to be fully you? What does that?
And the word fully, Fully, even the word full is quite sharp, because we can say permission to be you.
Yes.
And we get that, but then fully you makes you go, oh shoot, it's all of me.
Yeah.
It's not just 80%, it's not 90%. Yeah, to be you, yep, I can do this. But the word fully makes you go, it's 100%. We're talking 100%, not 80, 90, 10, 20, whatever. So that word is quite impactful. And I think that's the key word. And I mean, there's definitely permission to be, but if we broke that down, fully is really like, yeah, you're not skimming this. This is
exactly
serious.
And so I completely agree with you. I think that the thing about fully, and like you say, that means 100%, but that means fully to me means all the aspects that I like and that I'm happy to share and show the world, but also all the pieces that I might judge or shut down or think are, I shouldn't be doing this, or in fact, it's really funny because I had a conversation
The black and the white within you.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
The black and white within you. Yeah.
Because I was just leading on to say about the idea, the propensity that we have to shame ourselves. And I see like that's the opposite side of permission. How can you, if you're going around saying, oh, I should have made a different choice, I should have done better, or I had that, I said I wasn't going to have that second cookie, but I did, and so I'm a bad person, or I'm letting myself down, or do you know what I mean? I mean, that's a silly example, but
no, it's not.
Just okay, no, it's not.
Okay, what's no, it's not. That's not a silly example. It's truth. Yes.
Yeah, it's truth. But don't you agree that sometimes I'll have conversations, and I probably have done it myself before, where if I say I'm not going to do that, or I am going to do this, and then I don't, then I can beat myself up and say, you're not quite measuring up there, chick. Like, you got to do better, or right. And so that's going against. It's like, no, if I can just clear the slate and say permission to be me means maybe instead of getting up and exercising one day, I'm going to sleep until I have to get ready for my first client of the day, and just be okay that in that situation, that's what I needed to do.
It's around our bloomin' talk again, because our self-talk is phenomenally important. Like, it's massively important to us for our health, for our wealth, for our living, for our instant, for our everyday functioning. Like that self-talk, and that permission to be fully you is. And I just, when you were talking then, I just went to social media in my mind and went, how many times see the influencers, and I'm going to say influencers, whatever they are, but the truth is your family are an influencer. They just don't get paid to advertise their grandchildren or whatever. But, how many times do you see these people who just show the amazing side? Show their bodies, who turn one way, and then they show this amazing hair product or whatever, or this nutritional thing, and in reality it's the opposite. Like, so I worked with a top sports person, a really high profile sports person, and their addiction was KFC. Do you have KFC over in your
Yes, we do.
neck of the woods?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just again, KFC, and their addiction was KFC, and they would get $50 to $80 worth of KFC in a binge.
Wow, that's a lot.
And they were, Yeah, they were an elite sports person, and they would do all sorts to disguise themselves and go and get KFC. And that's just a prime example of hiding yourself. Like, you're out there to the world, you're out there showing, I can do this, I'm living by this, I'm on my social media, then I'm this. I'm just cautious of how I word this. You know, but then
so
behind
I'm
the
super
scenes,
fit.
I'm actually, but behind the scenes, I'm actually disguising myself, going to KFC and dressing differently to go to KFC to go get my binge. Like, that's extreme.
That's
and
extreme,
this is
and there's a
just
lot
a
of
prime
shame.
example.
There's a lot of shame in there.
Yeah, well, of course, when I found out what the addiction was, I laughed. I said, oh my God, I love KFC. And then I thought, oh, that's probably not what they need to hear. I was like, especially this. And I started talking about my favorites. Probably not the wisest move straight away. But that is definitely somebody who is sitting in massive shame, massive guilt, incredible. More, I would say, more than the normal.
Right.
More than the normal to disguise themselves to go do this.
And so do you feel like that person was doing that because they already knew they couldn't give themselves permission to be fully themselves because they had created this persona that they had to fit the
absolutely
mold.
Well, their whole life was family, sports, nutrition, would sell nutritional products, like the ads on social media, all that stuff.
Right.
And to then be seen as going, and eating KFC was is a shambles. Like, you're a liar, you're a fraud, you're, all these words when they're not, they're just actually like KFC. Like, but this is the self-talk is, oh, you're a liar, you're a fraud, that shame, that guilt. My family are not going to, they're going to disown me because they, what if I lose that high sponsorship? Well, what if you actually come forward and say you ate freaking KFC?
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Is it going to be such a bad thing?
Absolutely. I find this really, really sad because because the thing is that sometimes when we get really caught up in that persona, that mask, that image, and then people like, particularly people who are younger, and they look to that and it's like, there's the gold standard, I have to hit that, and if I don't, then I won't be able to play sports, or I won't be healthy because look at this model that I'm supposed to feel into or live up to, I should say. But oftentimes when we are giving ourselves permission to be truthful and be who we are and say, yeah, I eat KFC. I actually don't like KFC myself, but there's other things that I do. And that's true. Telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, I can see her face, people, and she's definitely telling me the truth. It's incredible so when you put someone on a pedestal, you're completely minimizing who you are, what you're going on, all your genius areas, and all these people have that celebrity status, are put on a pedestal, whether they like it or not. They're on one. And the more natural they can be, the more they realize people can actually appreciate them for who they are, both sides, the black and the white, or the red and the purple, or the gold and the silver, whatever it is. They can see they have both sides. Dr. John Demartini, who's a human behavioral specialist, I used to run his events, and one of the things we had dinner one night, and I had hot chips, and I was telling someone the next day or something. They said, oh, what do you eat when you go for dinner with John? And I'm like, well, John has his salmon, and John has his, stuff his broccolini, and, he has that. And they're like, what do you eat? And I went, I remember I said I had steak, chips, and mushroom gravy. And they went, and you ate that in front of John? And I went, yeah, like, why would you not? Like, I couldn't understand why would you not? And they said, but John, like that, you can't do that in front of John. I'm like,
Why?
When I first started events, I would have breakfast with him. So I'd go have a cooked breakfast and then I'd move to another table and then he'd come along and I'd have a little bit of fruit. And he goes, is that all you're eating? I go, yep. Now, I don't know if anyone knows John. You know he knows when you're lying. I'm like, yeah. And the staff in the restaurant would always be like, there she's having a cooked breakfast. And she moves to another. And then I'm like, why am I doing this? Like you can smell, I can lie. You smell of different food. The whole staff are in there. So I just went, if I want to have chips, I'll have chips.
Yep.
But then John took a chip off my plate, which, it was funny. And people were just like, he took off your plate. He ate a chip. It's like, oh my God, he's a human being.
He's a human being.
It's like, it's a hot chip. Like he obviously hadn't had a hot chip in 20, 30, 40 years or whatever. And he had a hot chip. Like it's no big deal. People were like, oh, he had a hot chip. And this was the real interesting thing is people then went, did you know John had a hot chip off Deborah's plate last night?
But
and it
trying
became
to
this
make
big
him
talking
something
point.
else.
And I was mortified that I'd even shared that. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I've shared this because people have really attached to this that I thought was just human nature but I dealt with it. I dealt with gone from having the 2-course breakfast, I'd done that. And 9 years later, I didn't care what I did by that stage. I missioned to be fully me and I was me.
Mm-hmm.
And you either like it or you don't. But it was interesting that other people went, oh, did you hear John had a hot chip? And it's not Dr. D, mate, it's John. Did you hear John had a hot chip? And it's like, and it would come back to me, oh, they're talking about that hot chip. I'm like, it was one freaking hot chip on my plate. And they're like, oh, and he took it off your plate. You didn't offer him. And I'm like, oh my God. And
wow.
So this is just the insane, isn't that insane?
It's craziness. But something I was feeling into as you were describing that? I have a feeling that every person who does that, who goes, oh my gosh, that person did this, that actually gives you an indication of how far away they are from actually being able to give themselves permission to be themselves.
From reality. I mean, yeah.
But do you see what I'm saying? It's like if you're, because whenever we judge like that, we're judging ourselves, right?
Mm.
So we're saying, oh my gosh, I would never let somebody like John see me having chips, let alone have him take one off my plate.
I know. I still giggle at that. And it was even 3 months. And we did another tour 3 months later and someone said, oh, I heard John took a chip off your plate.
No way.
Like, oh my God.
It still followed.
I'm like, oh my God, serious. And
wow.
Just shows you how much. So no wonder people don't want to, be fully you because they have this whole story that people create behind their backs and hold on to and run. So it's, it could be a challenge to be you.
It could be, but here's something that I've been saying to my clients for years is other people's opinion of you is none of your business.
Yes.
So if we can learn to unhook, what so-and-so is making a story up behind my back. It's like, so what? If they are, then actually it's more about them than you.
Mm.
With the caveat that you are being fully you. The other piece that this brings up for me as we're talking about this is this whole topic I think it's actually collective conscious, all of us, we are working through our own levels of walking in full integrity. And that's what this is about. This permission is being in complete integrity with your own core self. This is what we're talking about, right? Permission to be fully who you are. But there's 4 lines to this. There's 4 pillars, if you like, to this idea of the integrity. And what it is that we are all called upon to align these 4 pillars. And they're very simple. They are what we speak, what we think, what we believe, and what we act. The actions that we do. 4 pillars. They all have to align. So Deb, back to your example about the person who is an athlete who
Mhm.
speaks a certain way and acts a certain way, but underneath hides this propensity to like KFC. If they don't bring that into alignment, they are out of integrity with themselves.
Mm.
And that is not giving them
And that's
permission to be them.
And that's where your self-worth is down, that you're
Yes.
beating yourself up more
Absolutely.
and more and more, so much so that you're, you think, or even when somebody mentions the word KFC around them or anything, that they shudder and they think, did they know? Did
Yeah,
they
exactly.
know? Did they know that was me?
Yeah.
And it's that whole, because when you've done something you're a little bit guilty for, and then suddenly hear about it or hear something else and people going, God, imagine
It's
doing
like everybody
that.
seems to be talking about that one thing.
Do they know? Do they know that I did it? Are they just testing me to come forward? What's going on? That whole chaos. But you're right. It is that whole, it's massive, and it's a massive thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things they said was they loved when they went overseas is that there was one country they went to that had KFC and nobody knew who they were.
I was just thinking that is
And they went there.
anonymity, right?
Yeah, and I get that, because it's just like, oh my God, imagine doing it. And I was like, and so what did that feel like? It felt amazing. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but there's cameras around, and if somebody did happen to take a photo or selfie or something of them in there, you could have been in the background. And so then I threw them into fear again. Probably not the wisest thing to do.
Oops.
But I mean, but it was all about bringing out into public, so you actually could bring your privates public, as John says. DeMartini says, bring your privates public before your children do.
That's a good one.
You think of the preschool teachers, they hear it all. But you're right, it is that spink, believe and act, and it is out of integrity to your own soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just to your mindset, it's to your soul.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
Because your soul is the one that calls you to do things right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going against that, that's when you can screw yourself over. But why, like, permission to be fully you? Why don't we show our dark side or our shadow side? Why do we only show our light side, Moira?
I believe it's because we are all conditioned to seek approval, right? We want people to say, you're pretty, you're clever, you're good, you're wise, you're fill in the blank, whatever it is.
You're nice.
You're nice. Yes. You're healthy. You make wise choices.
Yeah.
But here's the key piece, and that's why this is so pivotal, is that because we kind of bought into a wee bit of a story here that we're looking for it outside of ourselves. And we have forgotten or haven't quite connected the dots that it actually happens by default when we gift it to ourselves, by this idea of giving yourself permission. So, and I think you said it earlier in our conversation, is not everybody's going to like you. So let's all just get comfortable around that. Not everybody's going to like your choices or like how you look, what you do, how you speak, what words you use. Not everybody's going to like it. And that's okay.
As long as you like it. Yeah.
You have to like it.
As long as you like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely I say an interesting one. There's a thing I talk about, and it's called motivation and inspiration. And motivation is somebody, because when you're motivated to do something, I don't believe you're going to be 100% getting there. Because when you're motivated, it's somebody telling you what to do, keep going, and they're motivating you, and they're motivating, like someone's my hand is actually out of reach now. Like they're on the back of your back, small of your back, pushing you along, like, let's get going. And then there's inspiration, which comes from within. You're from within, your shoulders are back, you see what you want to do. You've got someone telling you what to do or suggesting or whatever, that's great, but you actually want to do it. You want to do it for you. And it's like your soul's calling you to do this and you're giving yourself permission to do this. Whereas that motivation is someone telling you, come on, you can do this. And the more you listen to that, I love that coaches do that, absolutely, because they can see stuff that you can't see. But you're never going to get 100% unless you're inspired to do it, because you're going to get burnout from that motivation. And this is where this permission to be fully you comes from inspiration, not motivation.
I love that. Because the other part too is that if you are only doing the things and making the choices based on that motivation, you're actually doing it to an agenda outside of yourself. Hasn't been run through your own heart energy if it's only like, oh, I have to do it this way because so-and-so said, or my coach told me to do it this way, without stopping and saying, do I want to? Right?
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of another piece that I often invite my clients and students to do is there's a set of 3 questions to help you make decisions. They're really simple and quick. But the first question is this good for me? So is this choice, is this option, is it good for me?
And can they put me in capitals, please?
Yes, me in capitals. The second question is it good for the other or the others? Because, when we make choices, there are oftentimes, you might have a partner or a child or a group that you're working with. So is this choice, is it good for them? And the third question is, do I want to?
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Now, here's the thing is all 3 of them have to be yes in order for you to say yes. Really simple questions, but it's so illuminating to some people when they go, oh gosh, I've been doing all these things because it's good for the other and I don't want to do it, but I'm only doing it that's people pleasing.
Yeah.
Or if I'm only
people pleasing works or not. That's look, I love that. Is this good for me? The other thing then in attaching to that is because we have stories.
Yes.
We have our past stories that we've seen or heard somebody affected by doing this, or we have our own stories where we have displayed or demonstrated or said something that's had a different outcome to what we're doing. So we've attached that ball of fluff or lint or something attached to us that we're holding on to, going, oh no, I'm going to do this again, but it's still going to be really bad. Or I can't do this because I failed last time, or I didn't achieve last time, or whatever wording you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that comes in, those past stories just attached to us. And so is this good for others? Is this good for others? They can go, oh no, I remember 5 years ago, the same thing happened and it hurt the family, so I can't do it. So it's holding on to those stories.
Exactly.
And bring them into the daytime now. But 5 years ago, those people were different. The scenario was different. You were different. Everyone was different emotionally and what's going on to now. So those stories have a massive impact in this as well.
I love that you brought that into this conversation, because when we are giving ourselves permission to be fully ourselves, we're talking about the here and now. Not I think I'm fully me based on a story that I was telling or I identified with last year, even yesterday, right? If it's something that happened in the past, it has no hold over you now? Because we're all evolving and up-leveling and choosing, and right?
Yeah, there was something on social, I don't know if I posted it yet, but it was quite interesting. And it was saying when you're in a car driving or you're sitting in a car, the rear vision mirror is very small.
Yeah.
But the driver's front window, whatever you call it.
The windscreen.
Yeah, the windscreen, yeah, whatever you call it. Yeah. The windscreen is massive because that's where you've got to be present to, where you're going and what you're doing. And I remember thinking, that's so true, because we look in that little mirror and it's small and it's behind us. So we can look at that and learn from that little small thing, but this is where we're going. And I love that analogy of just going, this is where we are, just be present, and this is what I want to see.
That's a beautiful analogy. So you want to sit in the driver's seat, feel your hands on that wheel, and remember you're going forward, and you can look in the rear view mirror and go, gosh, I appreciate how far I've come. Right?
Yeah. And look how far we've all come in a year.
I know.
Look how far we've come in 3 months. Look at, like, if you don't, like, the world has evolved in lots of ways. And even look at your plants outside. Look how some of them are flowering. Some of them are not flowering. Some of them are growing. Some of them are losing leaves. Like, they change, they evolve. Like, look at nature. It changes and evolves. And yes, we've had, some tornadoes and some of this and some of that and horrendous stuff. But, it's all about rebirthing and coming back to different stuff. So look at nature and look how that has changed. And then look at you. Yeah. Look how you've changed. And that rear vision mirror has to go. Like, it's behind you.
It's done. It's gone. And that's what I'm saying, is you can look at it with appreciation. But
totally.
It's not to keep bringing it into the focal point. Can you imagine how many car crashes there would be if everybody just drove with their eyes on the rearview mirror?
That's actually a bloody good point. Imagine if you just did that. Yeah. Okay, looking behind you, that's actually true. Imagine it.
Can you? That would be terrifying.
Sorry.
Oh, that's great. We got a snort from Deb.
Yeah. Well, it'd be worse because you drive on the wrong side of the road compared to us in New Zealand.
Oh, I thought you drove on the same side as we did. Oh, no, you drive on the same side as Britain does.
We drive on the left and our steering wheel's on the right.
Okay. Right.
So you drive on the right and your steering wheel's on the left. Is that correct?
Yes. But do you know what?
Yeah.
People have said this about me because I grew up in Scotland. So I actually learned how to drive the same way you're describing. And then I came back to Canada, which is actually where I was born. But I find it really easy to switch between the two directions because I have it really locked into my mind that oncoming traffic comes to me, not my passenger.
Oh, that's a great one.
It's brilliant. It serves me so well. When I've had to hop back to the other side of the pond, I can easily jump in a car and drive.
See how simple that is?
Isn't that easy?
So do you know if they wrote that on the rental car policy?
Yeah, that would be a great thing to do.
Just that little thing to remember, that would be easy. Well, your toilets flush the other way as well. Anyway, just like doing the whole thing. Yeah, your toilets. We go one way and you go the other. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a little fun fact from Deborah.
But of course, just permission to be completely and fully who you are. And if it means talking about the direction of toilets flushing, so be it.
Yeah. And you know what? I will say what I love is being around people who let you have permission to be fully you. And I do know Moira and I, we don't, there's the airs and graces you have on, because we do hold back some things. I don't know about that. But, we
don't swear. We'll for the
I
most
think
part.
you swore once.
I think
I
I
don't
did
think
once.
I'm the worst potty mouth out of both of us, and I don't know how. I don't think I've sworn on. Yeah, I don't. Well, who knows? If you find a swear word, do let us know.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Because we don't intend to, but we're not trying to pretend we don't swear either, though.
No, but I will say Moira definitely allows me to be fully me. She
Mhm.
allows me permission to be that I don't have to hide or filter or anything. And the same with Moira. I would be disappointed
Absolutely.
if she got on the call, started talking in a phone voice and said, "Oh, hello."
Hello,
Well, I don't even know
Deborah.
if-
How are you today? No,
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
that's a really good point, because I've always said this to my clients too. That is one expectation that I have of everybody that works with me. I want you to be honest. Show me who you are. Don't be thinking, oh gosh, I can't tell this because what will she think of me? I am one of the most non-judgmental people around, and I've worked at
Well, I'll
that.
laugh. I'll laugh a lot when you tell me stuff, or when people tell me stuff, I'll laugh and I'll go, "That's not very funny." And I'll go, "Oh, isn't it? Oh, well, okay. Well, too late." Like tragedy. Whoops, that's a bit unfortunate for you. But it is. So I do sit in that permission to be fully you.
Yes.
But there's definitely some people I do hold in certain things. And I do know I swear. And around my great auntie Floss, I would really curb that swearing.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
I would really curb that.
You're not going to do it. And the same thing for me with certain clients. You get a sense, well, we're both very intuitive people too. So it's not like I'm going to not give myself permission to be who I am in certain scenarios and certain people, but I am going to have a sense of, is this good for the other, right? It's
Yeah.
good for me to share my truth and be real and authentic. Is it good for the other? So if I have, I'm talking to somebody who has a very low threshold for cuss words or certain types of humor even, then I'm
Yeah.
going to
I'm not going to
pull
work
back.
with them. Oh.
Maybe not. No.
Yeah. But you're right, and it is that. And you have to have that social circle around you, social circle, family circle around you that challenges you to continually to step up in this world,
Mhm.
but not demoralize your step up.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
just keep that level going up, but not strip anything away from you. And if you don't have that social circle, it's time to reassess your social. And I say social circle because even though family is family and social is those who are influenced or not influenced around you, who you hang with, family does come into that social circle. So those you associate with, look, are they challenging you enough to step up like you challenge other people, but not enough to demoralize you or take away any dignity you have?
Yeah. So it's about being loving and accepting in all aspects, the good and the bad, because we all have our gifts and our light and our propensity to shine. We all do have our own quotient of darkness or murkiness or stuff that you say, really, it's about being vulnerable too, right?
But there's a time and a place to be vulnerable as well. And sometimes you don't need to show that side to some people who you have a little fear of that they might hold on to it and share whatever. It's just like, I can just hold this in just a little bit longer till I get to myself to a safe place, because it is all about you feeling safe inside and comfortable.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. That was a goodie. I don't want to wrap this one up. I want to keep talking. Yeah. Permission to be fully you. What an interesting topic. So people, listeners, strangers, people we know, people we don't know, let us know, is there stories you're holding on to? Maybe you don't have to put them out there on social media and say this is what it is. let us know, private message us, what are you going on, and how do you walk through life to be fully you? There's no right or wrong answer.
No,
I think
it's just to maybe check in to see.
that.
Yeah, but also to just check in and see, is there aspects of you that you're hiding? Right?
And why? Why? But please reach out to Moira and I. I will snort, most probably. I'll just say that. Moira is more gracious on those things. I will probably snort, laugh louder. Just being honest. We are two very different individuals, but we're both very skilled at what we do, and we bring dark and light
yes, we do.
to our podcasts and our clients. So thank you, everybody. So let us know what number you're at. I'm about to ask Moira what number she's at, because what did you say you were? I
was a one. Yeah, I was a
were
one.
you a two? No. I was a two.
You were a two. I was a one.
Was I two? Yeah, I was two.
Yep.
So Moira, where are you sitting now? Have you down the scale towards 10, or you're up the scale towards 0?
Not at all.
I'm going to say the topic is definitely a 0.
Yes. No, I'm at a 0. I had said that I put myself at a 1 because of feeling a wee bit tired, but this, I really liked this. It did boost my spirits and lifted my energy. So yep, I'm at a 0. How about you?
Yeah, I'm at a 0 too. And when this goes live, I'm going to send this to my daughter, because, I thought about her and I went, it's trust. Trust that she's got this. Trust that those around her have got this as well. And trust that the universe has got her back, just like you have.
That's perfect.
No, as soon as I gave that wording to myself, I just felt so much more at ease that I could be present with
our conversation,
the listeners here today.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm definitely a 0. Awesome. So listeners, if you have anything that you would like us to talk about, or anything, or something triggered you in here, or you really enjoyed it, any emotion, let us know, because we are open to hearing. And we'll always block you if you say something bad.
Telling you like it is.
I'm joking. I don't actually think we've ever blocked anyone.
No, I don't think we have.
I don't believe we have.
No.
Someone would have to teach me how to do it first. So I'm not encouraging you to say something so we can block you. I don't need to be educated on that thing. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Moira. Thank you for the topic. This is definitely a goodie.
This was excellent. Capitals. I loved it. Thank you. Thank you too. Thank you, dear listeners. We will catch you next time.
See you on the next show. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.